The Beautiful Bribe by Jansen Davies. Chapter 1. The Signal. The stars hung silent over the neutral zone, a stretch of space so politically volatile it was practically sacred. Captain Kitt Chandler sat in the command chair of the Drake, the Galactic Federation's newest prototype battlecruiser, watching the void ripple with distant radiation. The ship was a predator cloaked in elegance, sleek, angular, and bristling with weaponry no other vessel could match. "Routine patrol," Chandler muttered, fingers drumming against the armrest, "which means something's about to go wrong." His second-in-command, Lieutenant Natalie Reed, glanced up from her console. "You always say that." "And I'm always right." The bridge was quiet, the hum of the ship's core a steady heartbeat beneath their boots. Outside, the stars blinked like ancient eyes. Then the silence cracked. "Captain," said Ensign Redding from communications, "we've got a signal." Chandler straightened. "Distress?" "Brief, fragmented, originating from a planet on the edge of the neutral zone. Heron." Chandler frowned. Heron was unaligned, peaceful, and notoriously isolationist. They didn't send signals. They didn't even answer them. "Put it on screen." The message flickered to life, static, garbled syllables, and one clear phrase: "Help us." "They're coming." Chandler stood. "Plot a course." "Full burn." Reed hesitated. "We're not authorized to enter Heron's space." "I'm not waiting for the red tape to clear. If someone's in trouble, we respond." The crew moved quickly. The Drake turned, engines flaring, and leapt toward the signal. Chandler watched the stars blur into streaks, his jaw set. He didn't know what waited for them on Heron. But he knew one thing. The galaxy didn't send distress calls unless it was already too late. Chapter 2. The Misunderstanding. The Drake dropped out of hyperspace above Heron, its hull shimmering with residual energy. The planet below was a jewel. Verdant continents veined with glowing rivers, cities nestled in crystalline valleys, and a sky pulsing with aurora-like currents. But the beauty was deceptive. "Shields up," Chandler ordered. "Scan for hostiles." "No weapons detected," Reed replied. "But I'm picking up mass civilian movement." Panic. Chandler narrowed his eyes. "Open a channel." "Let's talk." The Elari High Council appeared on screen. 7 elders draped in iridescent robes, their faces taut with fear. Behind them, guards stood rigid, ceremonial spears trembling. "You must not invade," the eldest pleaded. "We surrender. We offer tribute." Chandler blinked. "Invade? We came because of your distress signal," the council murmured. One of them leaned forward. "We received intelligence that an invasion was imminent. Your arrival confirms it." "That's false intel," Chandler said. "We're here to help." But the council was unconvinced. They whispered among themselves, then motioned to the side. A figure stepped forward, tall, cloaked, and silent. "This is Princess Thaleia," the elder said. "She is our tribute. Please accept her and spare our cities." Chandler stood slowly. The figure lowered her hood. She was beautiful, breathtaking. Her skin shimmered like moonlight on water. Her eyes were deep violet, framed by delicate ridges that caught the light. Her posture was regal, her expression unreadable. Chandler glanced at Reed, who looked equally stunned. "I don't understand," he said. "Why her?" "She is unmarriable," the elder said bluntly. "Unwanted, but perhaps pleasing to your kind." Thaleia's gaze didn't waver. "I am yours, Captain Chandler, if it will bring peace." Chandler felt the weight of the moment settle on his shoulders. This wasn't diplomacy. It was desperation. He turned to the council. "I'll accept her, for now. But we're going to clear this up." Thaleia bowed her head. "Thank you." As she stepped aboard the Drake, the crew watched in silence. Chandler felt the tension coil tighter. Something was wrong, and it wasn't just the misunderstanding. Chapter 3. The Bribe. Princess Thaleia stood in the observation deck of the Drake, her silhouette framed by the curve of Heron's horizon. The planet shimmered below, lush, radiant, and terrified. She didn't speak. She didn't cry. She simply watched. Captain Chandler approached quietly, his boots soft against the polished floor. "You don't have to stay up here," he said. "We've prepared quarters for you." Thaleia turned. Her eyes were unreadable, but her voice was calm. "I prefer the stars." "They don't judge." Chandler hesitated. "You know I didn't come to conquer your world." "I know now," she said, "but my people don't believe in accidents. They believe in omens. And your ship, it's an omen of war." He stepped beside her. "Then why send you?" Thaleia's lips curved, not quite a smile. "Because I am ugly. Unwanted. A bribe that costs them nothing." Chandler frowned. "That's absurd. You're beautiful," she finished. "To you, perhaps. But to the Aelari I am malformed. My features are wrong, my voice too deep, my presence unsettling." Chandler studied her. "They're blind." Thaleia looked away. "They're traditional." Silence settled between them, thick with unspoken truths. Outside, the stars wheeled on. "I didn't ask for this," she said, "but I won't dishonor it. If I am to be your tribute, I will serve with dignity." "You're not a tribute," Chandler said. "You're a guest, and you're free to leave whenever you choose." Thaleia turned to him, her expression softening. "Then I choose to stay." "For now." Chandler nodded. "Good. Because something tells me this isn't over." As he left the deck, Thaleia returned to the stars. Somewhere out there, something stirred, and she felt it, like a whisper in her bones. The bribe had been accepted, but the real test was coming. Chapter 4. The Truth Beneath. The Drake drifted in low orbit, its hull reflecting Heron's twin moons. Inside, the crew moved with quiet efficiency, but tension simmered beneath the surface. Captain Chandler paced the command deck, reviewing sensor logs and diplomatic transcripts. Something didn't add up. Lieutenant Reed approached, her voice low. "Still no confirmation on who sent the distress signal." Chandler frowned. "The Council claims it wasn't them. But someone wanted us here. Could have been a trap. Could have been a cry for help." Elsewhere on the ship, Princess Thaleia wandered the Arboretum, a small, artificial garden tucked into the cruiser's midsection. She traced her fingers along the leaves of earth flora she'd never seen before. The air smelled of pine and rose petals. Ensign Redding found her there, awkward and curious. "You like plants?" "They don't speak," Thaleia said. "They don't judge." Redding hesitated. "The crew, they think you're brave." "Coming aboard like that," Thaleia tilted her head. "They think I had a choice." She turned away, her voice barely audible. "I sent the signal." Redding blinked. "You?" "I used an old diplomatic relay. Masked the origin. I didn't think anyone would come." "Why?" Thaleia's gaze was distant. "Because I couldn't stay. Not another season. Not another ceremony where I'm paraded as a failure. I thought maybe someone would see me differently." Redding didn't know what to say, but he didn't walk away. Back on the bridge, Chandler stared at the tactical display. A ripple of energy flared on the edge of the neutral zone, brief, sharp, and wrong. "Reed," he said, "get me a scan on that anomaly." She nodded. "Already running it." Chandler's jaw tightened. "I think we're about to find out who really doesn't want us here." Outside, the stars shifted, and something ancient stirred in the dark. Chapter 5. The Invasion. The anomaly flared again, this time sharper, closer. On the Drake's tactical display, it bloomed like a wound in space. "Multiple signatures," Reed said, her voice clipped. "Not Elari. Not Federation. They're coming through the neutral zone." Chandler leaned over her shoulder. "Karnathi. Confirmed. Dreadnought class. At least 6. The Karnathi were a known threat, brutal, insectoid, and expansionist. Their ships were ugly slabs of armor and weaponry, built for siege and slaughter. Chandler's jaw tightened. "Red alert! Battle stations!" The Drake shifted, its hull plates reconfiguring, weapon systems humming to life. Across the ship, Marines suited up, engineers locked down systems, and the AI core began predictive combat modeling. Thaleia watched from the observation deck, her hands pressed to the glass. The Karnathi fleet emerged like a swarm, blotting out the stars. "They weren't coming for us," she whispered. "They were coming for Heron." Chandler strode onto the bridge, his voice steady. "Target their lead, Dreadnought. I want a firing solution in 30 seconds. "Captain," Reed said, "they're broadcasting." "Put it through." The Karnathi commander appeared, a towering figure of chitin and shadow, mandibles clicking. "This world is unclaimed. We take it now." Chandler didn't blink. "It's inhabited, and you'll find it defended." The Karnathi laughed, a dry, rasping sound. "By one ship?" Chandler smiled. "By a very special ship." The transmission cut. The dreadnoughts opened fire. Plasma lances streaked toward the Drake, but its shields held. Chandler's crew responded in kind, precision strikes that tore through Karnathi armor like paper. "Deploy stealth drones," Chandler ordered. "Let's blind them." The drones scattered, jamming sensors, feeding false telemetry. Karnathi formations broke, confusion spread. "Now," Chandler said, "hit their engines." "Cripple them." One by one, the dreadnoughts faltered. Explosions lit the void. The Drake danced between them, untouchable. Thaleia watched, awestruck. "You're not just powerful," she whispered. "You're beautiful." The battle above was turning, but Chandler knew the Karnathi weren't done. "They'll try a ground assault," he said. "Prep the strike team. We're going planet-side." Chapter 6. The Ground Assault. The Karnathi dropships tore through Heron's atmosphere like burning spears, trailing fire and ash. They landed in concentric waves around the capital city of Tanian, disgorging troops in jagged armor, six-legged brutes with plasma rifles fused to their limbs. Civilians scattered. The palace shields flickered. Captain Chandler stood in the Drake's deployment bay, armored and armed. His strike team, 24 elite Federation Marines, checked gear and synced HUDS. The air was thick with anticipation. "Mission parameters," Chandler said. "Protect the palace. Neutralize Karnathi command. No civilian casualties." Lieutenant Reed nodded. "We're dropping in hot." Thaleia watched from the upper deck, her hands clenched around the railing. "Be careful," she whispered. Chandler met her gaze. "I always am. Careful and deadly." The dropship launched, slicing through the sky. Below, Tanian burned. They landed on the palace steps, plasma fire streaking overhead. Chandler's team moved like ghosts, fast, precise, lethal. Karnathi squads fell in seconds, their formations shattered by coordinated strikes. "Push to the courtyard," Chandler ordered. "They're trying to breach the inner sanctum." Explosions rocked the marble towers. A Karnathi war beast, 10 feet tall, armored like a tank, charged the gates. Chandler met it head-on, dodging its claws and driving a pulse blade into its thorax. It shrieked and collapsed, Inside the palace, the Elari guards fought valiantly but were outmatched. Chandler's team reinforced them, turning the tide. Plasma grenades lit the halls, smoke curled through stained glass windows. Then the Karnathi commander appeared, twice Chandler's size, plated in obsidian armor, eyes glowing red. "You are the human commander," it hissed. "The one they fear." Chandler raised his rifle. "Only the smart ones." The duel was brutal. Chandler dodged, struck, rolled, countered. The commander was strong, but Chandler was faster. He used terrain, timing, and sheer grit. In the end, he drove a blade through the creature's chest. The Karnathi forces faltered. Their morale broke. Retreat signals flared across the battlefield. "Fall back," Chandler ordered. "Let them run." The surviving invaders fled, dropships limping toward the neutral zone. Heron was safe, for now. Chandler stood in the courtyard, bloodied but unbowed. The Elari gathered around him, silent with awe. Thaleia arrived moments later, her eyes wide. You saved us." Chandler looked at her, exhaustion in his voice. "No, you brought us here." She stepped closer. "And I'm glad I did." Chapter 7. The Confession. The fires had cooled. Heron's capital stood bruised but unbroken, its crystalline towers scorched, its people shaken. The Drake hovered in low orbit, its crew tending wounds, recalibrating systems, and cataloging the wreckage of war. Captain Chandler sat alone in his quarters, armor stripped, uniform torn. His knuckles were raw, his thoughts louder than the silence. A soft chime. The door slid open. Thaleia stepped inside, her ceremonial robes replaced by a simple tunic. She looked different, less royal, more real. "I need to tell you something," she said. Chandler gestured to the seat across from him. "Go ahead." She sat, hands folded. "The distress signal, the one that brought you here. It wasn't sent by the Council." Chandler smiled. "Ensign Redding already told me the truth." "Yes, it was me," she said. "I used a diplomatic relay buried in the old archives. I masked the origin. I didn't think anyone would come." Chandler leaned forward. "You must have known someone would be listening." Thaleia's voice trembled. "I hoped. I dreamed to be rescued because I couldn't stay. I thought, maybe someone out there would see me differently. They would think I was beautiful." She looked up, eyes shimmering. "And you did." Chandler was quiet for a long moment. Then he spoke, voice low. "You risked everything. Your people, yourself." "I know," she said, "but I had to believe there was more than ridicule, more than rejection." He stood, walked to the viewport. Heron glowed below, peaceful again. "You didn't just bring us here. Your actions saved your world." Thaleia joined him. "And now they want to reward you with another princess, one they consider more desirable." Chandler turned to her. "I decline that offer." Thaleia blinked. "Why?" "Because I already have someone," he said. "Someone brave enough to call for help, someone who sees honor in truth, someone who I think is the most beautiful bribe I've ever been offered." Her breath caught. "You mean that?" "I do." Outside, the stars wheeled on. Inside, something shifted, quiet, sacred, and irreversible. Thaleia reached for his hand. He didn't pull away. Chapter 8. The Departure. The skies over Heron were clear again. The twin moons cast soft light over the palace gardens, where the wounded were tended and the dead honored. The Karnathi had fled, their dreadnoughts shattered, their ground forces routed. Peace, for now, had returned. Captain Chandler stood on the palace steps, his armor cleaned, but still bearing the scars of battle. Around him, the Elari High Council gathered, grateful, reverent, and eager to close the chapter. "You have saved our world," the eldest said, "and we wish to reward you properly." Chandler raised an eyebrow. "I didn't come for rewards." He pretended not to know what was about to come. "Nonetheless," the elder continued, "we offer you Princess Sorel, first daughter of the royal line. She is more suited to your kind, more desirable." Princess Sorel stepped forward, tall, poised, and radiant by Ailari standards. Her beauty was symmetrical, her demeanor practiced. She bowed. Chandler glanced at Thaleia, who stood quietly behind the council, her expression unreadable. He turned back to the elders. "I appreciate the gesture, but I already have someone," the council murmured. Sorel blinked in surprise. Thaleia smiled. Chandler walked past them, stopping beside Thaleia. "She's the reason I fought, the reason I stayed, and the reason I'm leaving with more than just victory." Thaleia looked up at him, eyes wide. "You mean that?" "I do." The council, stunned but respectful, bowed. "Then may your union be blessed." Later, aboard the Drake, Thaleia stood beside Chandler on the bridge. The stars stretched before them, uncharted, infinite, and waiting. "Where will we go?" she asked. "Anywhere," Chandler said. "Everywhere," she smiled. "Then let's begin." The Drake turned, engines flaring, and vanished into hyperspace, carrying with it a captain, a princess, and a story that had only just begun. Epilogue: The signal that changed everything. Years later, the Drake was no longer just a prototype, it was legend. Tales of its impossible victories and its enigmatic captain echoed across the outer systems, whispered in cantinas and carved into the walls of frontier outposts. But the story that endured wasn't about the ship, it was about the signal. A single desperate transmission from a forgotten princess on a misunderstood world. A call not for war, but for recognition, for mercy, for change. Thaleia had become more than a bribe, more than a symbol. She was a diplomat now, a bridge between species, cultures, and hearts. Her beauty, once mocked, was now mythic, not because it conformed, but because it endured. Captain Chandler remained at her side, his command steady, his loyalty unwavering. Together they charted new paths through the stars, not as conquerors, but as guardians of truth, and as parents of a new generation. And somewhere in the quiet between systems, a signal still pulsed, faint, ancient, and eternal. "Help us. They're coming." But this time the galaxy knew who would answer. The end. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you.